Hello everyone and welcome back again to my channel. This video will be a guide on how to complete the Artist of War legendary events. Right now you're watching auto footage of the first 4 tiers, which are very easy, but later in this video we'll be going over the mods, and also I'll have battle commentary footage from tier 5, and lastly I'll have tier 7 footage thanks to my good friend Ethan Schock, so shout out to him. I'll be giving you tips and strategies on how to be successful, so please enjoy the video, subscribe to my channel for future content, give it a thumbs up, and let's get right into these mods. So let's start looking at the mods for the Phoenix characters, starting with our leader, our Phoenix leader Hera Syndulla, running a speed set on her at 195 speed and 37% crit chance, running a speed secondary speed mod there with some offense, some more speed on that diamond, health circle with some speed, a speed arrow, and some health primaries on that cross and a crit chance on that triangle. So pretty good for Hera. Moving on to Ezra, running a speed set with a 2-piece health set. You could run a 2-piece crit chance set there as well. Total I have 200 in speed for him. The squares and the diamonds will always be offense and defense. Have some health and some speed on those squares and diamonds with some crit chance on that square. Some offense and speed on that circle. For the arrow, running a speed arrow. For the triangle, I'm running a offense triangle with some secondary speed. You can probably run a crit chance triangle there, and I'm running a offense cross. So pretty good there, about 30% crit chance. Could get that higher if I was running a crit chance triangle, so not sure if I'm going to switch that up for the tier 7 battle. And I'm upgrading that last ability there, I forgot to do that before actually battling. For Kanan, I'm running a speed set, and he's running around 161 speed with 27% crit chance. For the square, I'm running a health and protection and speed secondary square there with some speed and defense and health and protection on that diamond. For the circle, lots of speed and defense. For the arrow, I'm running a speed arrow. For the triangle, running a protection triangle and a health primary cross, so a lot of defensive primaries and secondaries for Kanan because he's a taunting tank. On top of that, we have Chopper, who is actually a support hero, but he taunts. I still chose to give him some sort of defensive stats on his mods. He's running a speed set with a 2-piece health set with a lot of speed and defensive attributes on those secondaries, so protection and defense and health. For the arrow, I'm running a speed arrow, protection triangle, and for the cross, also running some protection there. And lastly, we have Zeb here. He's a tank, but he doesn't taunt, so I didn't give him as many tanky stuff. I actually gave him a lot of potency because he has debuffs to land like daze and stun and stagger, so he has potency on a lot of those secondaries for all those mods. I'm running a speed arrow on him, a offense triangle because his crit chance is kind of low, and a potency cross to try and land those debuffs. So I got his potency up to 52%, which is pretty good, and he's running at 167 speed. And lastly, we do have Sabine as a Phoenix character, and because I'm choosing not to run her and she's the odd man out, no mods for her quite yet. I will put some mods on her for the Flash event bonus tier though, and those are probably going to be very similar to Ezra's mods. Alright, so Thrawn is finally here, so let's see what this is all about. So I was able to do the first 4 tiers on auto. This is tier 5. I won't have tier 7 ready until basically the final day. So let's make the most of tier 5 for now. We're going in with our Phoenix team here without Sabine. And what do we have here? Stormtroopers. And a commando. Let's try and take him out. And we'll use Chopper. Alright, we took him out. Cool. Expose, that's nice. And a stun. Let's try to... does this give protection up to another ally? Yep. Give that to our taunter. Basic. Basic. Oh, we took him out, nice. Let's do some calls to assist with Ezra. He has offense up. Nice. Let's take out this guy. Some basics. Cool. Alright, so that's the first encounter, or the first round. Not sure actually what you call it. So let's see what we got here. TIE fighter pilots, magma troopers, imperial officers, and stormtroopers. Oh, and a commando. Let's take out the TIE fighter pilots first. Actually, let's try to stagger a stormtrooper. Taunt. Take out the TIE fighter pilot. Let's assist attack with our Hera because she has offense up. Took her out. Let's get rid of his turn meter. Nice. Go for the officer. Finish him off. Very good. Take out the commando. And basics. Awesome. So we're going into round 3. So we have a Death Trooper, some commanders, magma troopers. Let's try to take out the Death Troopers first. Let's taunt, assist. Okay, with Ezra. Took him out. Let's give protection up to our taunter and assist attack. Go for the officer. Finish him off. Nice. So far not looking too bad. Magma Trooper now. Some basics now. Save our cooldowns for the final encounter. Alright. Alright, now we get to face Thrawn. I had thought you wiser than this to risk boarding my ship. A foolish gamble. God, I want him so bad. Alright, so what do we have here? Deadeye. This unit has 100% critical chance and increased critical damage. This effect is removed if this unit becomes staggered. What's this? I'm having trouble selecting what that is. I think that's just crit immunity. Alright, so he's taunted up. So let's just take him out. And let's taunt up with Kanan. And cleanse that debuff off Ezra. And let's call to assist Ezra. And let's dispel that buff. Now it's removed, so you don't need to stagger. And let's stagger Thrawn. And remove his turn meter. Taunt up. Assist with Chopper to give him protection. Oh, he wasn't a tank. Whoops, he's a support hero, right? Alright, and then some basics. Let's dispel defense up. Give some protection. basic. Some more basics. And we got them. Alright, that was not that bad of a tier 5. So finally going into tier 7, this is the final tier of the Artist of War legendary event, Quest to Unlock Thrawn. So this is footage from my good friend Ethan. Now, when I was talking to him, we decided to give him poor mods. So we have some of the worst mods you could probably put on these characters. For example, like Ezra's running a defensive primary triangle, I believe, in this battle. We also, on purpose, didn't put in Sabine into this lineup because a lot of free-to-play players won't have a 7-star Sabine because she's harder to acquire. The guild store is just quite random, and you don't get too many shards from her hard node. So we have Chopper in here, but as you saw from the tier 5 footage played by myself, you can actually cleanse. Actually, it's not a cleanse, it's a dispel some of those specific buffs like Deadeye and that are on some of those buffs that are special towards this event and are on the Death Troopers. So that's cool. So Chopper actually has some usage there. I know that there was some issues with, there were people thinking there would be some issues if we weren't using Sabine because she has that expose and stagger, which can disable that buff, but I think even cleansing it, or why do I keep saying cleansing? Dispelling it will actually be even more effective, unless you can, I think, you know, they can acquire it back or somehow, but that wasn't happening in tier 5, and I don't foresee it really happening in tier 7. So going forwards, you kind of just want to grind out the first 3 encounters and make sure that on the second encounter you're not really taking any damage, and if you are, you're putting protection up and kind of taking your time with basic attacks or gaining protection if they were taking damage from protection up, because you really want to go into the final encounter against Thrawn with most of your health, well, 100% of your health and just about all your protection. Especially on the 3rd round, you want to make sure that you're going into the final encounter with basically all your abilities off cooldown, so you can have all your access to all your abilities right away. On top of that, you want to make sure that you at least, if you can't do that, have a taunt ready to go, and you're going to be swapping taunts between Kanan and Chopper, so that's pretty nice. And don't really worry about too much of these debuffs like healing immunity. It's not that important because you're not really healing anything because you still have a lot of protection, and I don't think there's any protection regen that's going to be occurring basically when you're at close to nearly full protection anyway. I think when you go into the next encounter, those debuffs go away anyway. Alright, so yeah, those debuffs went away on the final encounter. So there's 2 Death Troopers there with the Deadeye. So this unit gets 100% critical hit chance, and only goes away. Oh, they also get critical damage, and it only goes away if that becomes staggered, but you actually can cleanse that with Chopper, and you'll see that in a little bit later. So let's start off here and see what happens. So Stormtrooper starts off the match with a taunt. There's a total of 6 characters, and on top of that, one of those characters is Thrawn, so he's leading this sort of Empire squad. Now, I think something that is important to know if you're having difficulty with this is it might matter who Thrawn applies the fracture debuff on, and depending on who he does it, if it's the attackers, you might want to retreat like someone like Ezra, but if it's one of your taunters, you can get away probably with having one of your taunters fractured because you have the other character that can taunt, and eventually Thrawn will take a turn and you will be able to taunt with the other character that was fractured. Another thing to note is if you're having bad RNG, you might want to try to not taunt with any of your taunter characters and hope that they attack Zeb and then taunt, so that's another way to get good RNG. And as you can just see there that we dispelled Deadeye with Ezra, so those debuffs can go away without having to stagger them, so that's a plus. The strategy here is to really take out once you take out the taunters, you probably want to take out the Death Troopers because they do a lot of damage, and save Thrawn for last. Try to debuff him if you can with stagger to remove all his turn meter. Try to spread out offense down on some of the characters so they're not doing a lot of damage, especially if you're under-geared. But it looks like you probably could get away with doing this event without having Gear 10 or Gear 11 characters. I'm thinking Gear 9 is a good goal to have, and maybe you might need like one Gear 10 character, but it doesn't seem like it's bad. You can revive some of your characters with Para, so that's good, and you might need to do that probably to win by having a taunt character die with that revive mechanic, the backup plan. So once you get it down to just a few commandos, you just want to finish them up, and it becomes much more manageable after you take out a few characters, because you can start locking them up with some of those debuffs from Zeb. Like you can stun them and daze them so you're not getting turn meter, for example, from some of your other characters that do have debuffs. For example, Kanan has offense down, which under a Thrawn lead actually gives some of those Empire characters turn meter. So once you have it down to Thrawn, you should have it in the bag. It seemed like he wasn't that bad, and for example, he wasn't doing a lot of damage, and the combination of taking out some of the other characters around him ended up being pretty good, because you don't want to attack Thrawn head on, especially when he has that fracture debuff, because that's when he gets that counter chance. But he can't counter with phase, so that's pretty good, and that's why Zeb is pretty helpful. So I'm going to just let this battle run on for the rest of the video. There's a little bit left, and good luck to everyone trying to do this event. If you're having any difficulty, leave a comment below, and I'll try to answer it on a timely basis. And be on the lookout for a first look Thrawn video by yours truly. Have a good one. So let's finally finish this by activating Thrawn. Here we go.
Then I'm the macho like Ronnie. The chopper go out to the granny. This nigga pull up your bandit. The killers understand it.